Hi, if you're new here, my name is Eugenia. Welcome to my channel. I got something exciting I want to share with you. Let me show you. Proudly made in USA. You know, I'm so excited because you'll see in a minute. You'll see it in a minute. So I got us a glass grinder. Anticlimactic. Sorry, I'm a queen of anticlimactic stuff. I got us this one. I don't know what's the difference, but I've tried it, I've used it, and I'll show you how. And I think that this is such a huge addition to my jewelry making process. So this is it. This is the glass grinder. Just pull it by the cord. It is my new baby. So the way you use it, you just fill it up with, there's a tank, and you fill it up with water so the drill bit doesn't get overheated. Coat it with some diamond dust. So shiny, look. I was like, I want to incorporate a drill bit in my jewelry. No. It's like so shiny. Okay, to speed this up, let me just explain to you how it works. So here are the tools that this glass grinder came with. Different drill bits. One is the one that we're going to be using for polishing our plates and porcelain. This one to make holes. This is a little too advanced for me, I'm not gonna lie. We're not going to be testing it today because I'm not there yet. Then it came with two sponges, and you can find sponges anywhere, and this sponge is needed for it to soak up the water from the reservoir and to constantly be touching the drill bit so it doesn't get overheated. Then this little border, and then two Allen wrenches. Okay, so to be more technical, let me just show you. Okay, so the number 6 is actually called bit cert, and I'll show you where it goes. And the 7 is splash guard. It has a little protection cap here, which you'll have to remove, and you need to always keep this part lubricated with Vaseline, they said, or maybe with some special thing that they sell, that Inland brand sells, the brand of the grinder, but Vaseline is fine. And I still have a little bit here left, so I'm not really worried, but you do need to keep it lubricated, otherwise they say that the bit can get stuck onto the base and then you won't be able to take it off with time, over time, you know, because of the heat and water and other physics and chemical things are happening that are outside of our control. First thing, we're going to be installing this guide right here. So the way you're installing it is basically you are just going to be putting it in like this. Next thing, we're going to install the splash guard, and the splash guard goes like so. So this is to hold the sponge in place. Okay. All right, next one, we're going to loosen that screw. You see there's a little tiny screw, and you have an Allen wrench. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to insert it, and then I'm going to untighten it. Let me make sure you're focusing. Okay, you see how it's, we're going to loosen it. So I would say, okay, counterclockwise. This is clockwise, it's getting in, and this is counterclockwise. So don't loosen it all the way because it can fall out. The next thing is going to be inserting this onto the base. And don't push it so down that you don't have any grinding surface. I made this mistake first time I was installing it. Lift it up a little bit and then screw it in. Zooming in, but this base has a flat part, as you can see here. You see it's flat. So you need to make sure this drill bit sits and screws onto a flat part, not on the side, not on a round one, but onto the flat. You see, it's really important. Otherwise, it's not going to be secure enough. Next step would be inserting your sponge and adding water. So we're going to be using distilled water because appliances and all that stuff like distilled water because it doesn't have any minerals. You see, by the time I set everything up, the sun sets and we're going to have different lighting. I apologize. But this is what you do. One. Done. Okay, so now it's time to insert the sponge. And the purpose of the sponge is to always be touching the water. So right now, you see how difficult it was for me to insert it. So I'm going to go ahead and wet the sponge, so it's going to be squishier and easier to work with. So I'll be able to pull it through that part over here. the way you do it, you just pushing it in, but you can use Allen wrench or maybe tweezers to kind of force it in, but because it does get stuck. So you just need to make sure the bottom of the sponge is in reservoir, because it's gonna soak up all the water and it will be always moistening this drill bit for you. So I'm going to go ahead and plug it in so you can hear the sound it's making. And of course you have to wear your protective glasses and the mask because it is still dusty. Not as much, but the tiny little shards of porcelain that will be flying in your face. So they're harmless, as far as I know, as far as I've experienced, but just to be sure, you have to wear a mask. And that's what it says on the instruction as well. Okay, are you guys excited? Let me show you. So this is the sound it's making. And it has some water, but you know, it's fine. You'll see a little bit of leakage, it's fine. The drill bit is very moist. You see how it's not sharp? But it's enough. Like, I'm holding my finger against it, like don't, but you can. It's not so sharp. But if you're going to be pressing porcelain against it, it's going to grind it. So let me show you. So this is a piece of porcelain that I have. Like, let's pretend we just broke a plate and this is what we end up with. So the first thing, we're going to turn it on. We have our hair out of the way. We have glasses on, and we have a mask on. I don't have a mask on right now because I'm talking to you, but you should, okay? So here's the piece of porcelain. I'm going to slowly and carefully grind it, but don't put too much force, okay? So just ever so slightly, gently rotate, but keep this firm, like keep this thing firm. Also keep a towel next to you if this gets too wet and you are losing a grip. Just make sure to corner. How rounded it is now. Isn't that beautiful? Okay, so I'm going to turn it off. And this is what we have. Look what a difference. Look at this. Okay, just to give you a close-up of what it did and how smooth everything is. And oh my gosh, just day and night. Okay, and to properly care for it, the way all you do, you just remove the sponge, you wash it, because it will have some of that porcelain residue, and over time they say you'd have to replace that sponge because it's gonna get like unusable because of the porcelain and dust that it collects. Then you would just carefully lift the tray, I'll show you, and then you pour the water out. The way you would care for it, you would get rid of the sponge, you would loosen the screw here, and all you do is you lift this part. And I won't be doing that right now, but this part comes off, and all you have to do, just carry this part once you unscrew all the supplies and pour it outside, just making sure that properly utilizing it. I'm actually going to be learning how to properly utilize those, because sometimes if it's too much porcelain, I know it could clog the plumbing, so maybe it's better to pour it out. Depends how heavy your workload is. You know what? I don't like that it's raised like this, you see? So we're gonna try to get rid of this. We're gonna be using glass cutters. This is the mug that I made actually some time ago. It's very like brutalism. It's very primitive, I know. It's because it was one of my first mugs. Don't even get me started on ceramics. I'm not allowed to. Okay, so let's put on some safety glasses, which I forgot downstairs in my studio. So we're gonna be using these ones. Hopefully I'm not gonna poke my eyes out of there with this. Let's put some glasses on. Those are blue light glasses that I have, so not ideal, but better than nothing. I'm gonna go downstairs and get the actual glasses. But let's try to cut this guy, score it and cut it, and use some nippers, it's called? Yeah. Let's use these medieval tools. So you can learn from me. You see how it splashes stuff everywhere? This is my lamp, and it was not so far from this beast. So it's better to work in the area where you have something that, you know, just cover your belongings whenever you work with this grinder, because you're gonna have some splashes. So just make sure this is wipeable. It's fine, but you know. Okay, I'm gonna be using these cutters, glass cutters, to get rid of that part, and it works perfectly. Just be careful, don't have any pets around you, and if it chips and falls on the floor, make sure to not cut yourself, okay? So you see this, obviously this is sharp and uneven, and we have our little grinder to perfect this. So let's do this next. This is so perfect. Just look at this. Just look at this. This is so perfect. This is so pretty. I'm so happy. This is a beautiful ring. It could be a beautiful ring, and maybe that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do a ring. Professional. Going to replace my filters because it's been some time. I just can't get over how flawless. Okay, so we're ready to start. We're gonna be working on a ring because I just can't resist not making a beautiful ring. I'm gonna be using the base that you always use because it's adjustable, and it's silver plated. It has a copper base, so you don't need any copper tape. You can just add solder and it's gonna stick. So let me show you how to make this beautiful ring. Okay, so I just realized that I had bought a mic and I am not using it, so I just plugged it in. So hopefully this is going to be even better audio quality. I'm going to be using a synthetic brush and X-Acto knife. I'm going to be using some tweezers to hold things in place, and I cut a little bit of copper tape so we can wrap our shape together. Okay, so this is what we have. I'm going to aim for even border from both ends, but we are going to be perfecting it with X-Acto knife. I'm pulling copper tape, but I'm not pulling too hard so I don't accidentally break it. I just went to get scissors, and I just want to show you something that I made recently. It's this beautiful, gorgeous sage bundle. I gotten into them lately, but I just want to show you. Anyway, cut the excess like so. So now we're going to be carefully working on the face of the pendant first, and now we're going to be flipping it and working on the back. Let's just use our nails for now, but again, better to use a burnishing tool, which I will be ordering probably this week. And the problem is, you can see here, it's not even, so we're going to be using our cutting knife, X-Acto knife, to perfect the border. Going to pay close attention, just be careful, don't cut yourself. And let's make our border thin. Okay, today I'm in the mood for perfection, and so be it, you know? Okay, so now we just have to add some flux and cover it with solder. Okay, so it's 840 to 150. It's heating up. I'm so excited. We're going to be using always, whenever you work with jewelry, please make sure to use lead-free solder. Then I'm going to also turn on my fan. Here's my fan. I'm going to turn it on. So I'm also going to be using Flux. My favorite flux is stained glass flux. If I sound a little weird, it's because I'm getting over a cold. So I'm a little bit congested still, so I apologize. I'm going to be probably needing something to hold hot pieces in place, and I'm going to be using these. Although I made the same mistake and now they are getting rusty, is because I accidentally used those when I was working with flux. But at this point, you know, you have to have two sets, one to work with your materials and the other ones that you're going to be exposing to flux, and this is what happens to them. Now I know they get rusty. So I'm going to go ahead and wipe the back, but again, like you're working with Flux, just make sure to wash your hands, and we are going to be washing this piece, but I'm going to be attaching a ring base right now, so I need to make sure there's no residue from Flux or anything, any like copper tape or anything like that in the back. So I'm gonna wipe it, and ideally we should use alcohol to make sure that there's it's completely degreased, but this seems to be fine. So I'm going to attach a copper tape right here in the back to set my rings. You could technically set it with resin. As much as I love resin, I don't trust it, which is silly, because ideally what we can do, we could have just mixed some resin, maybe added some E6000 or hot glue gun, hot glue from glue gun, and then set the string like that with resin. Make sure it's secure by adding some glue or E6000 and keep it like that, and that way it's very clean in the back and you won't need to be worrying about adding any strip. But I feel like metal is so sturdy and so much sturdier than resin, so I'm gonna go with my old method, which is attaching a thin copper strip right here and then setting the base onto this. Let me show you how. So I decided to place it horizontally. If you wanted to place it horizontally, you would need to add a strip of copper going across this way. So basically like that. Let me show you. So I'm going to lay my piece right here, and I'm going to peel again the same copper tape, just a tiny bit, but really important, we need to make sure it overlaps the borders, okay? That way it's going to be sturdier. So let's go ahead and do that. Excess, it's okay. We will go ahead and trim it. Okay, so when you are applying copper tape, pull it so there's no there are no wrinkles. And let's go ahead and press it so it's super close to the surface like that. And then we're gonna go around the border, and maybe midway we're gonna cut it. So let me get my scissors. And this is gonna be a strong bond. I'm gonna keep my brush close by because I would need a little flux when we're setting a ring. So right now we're going to cover. Okay, so I'm going to cover the shape with solder. I'm gonna turn on my iron. I'm gonna put on my mask. Okay, let me just talk to you real quick. So let me just give you a little tip. So whenever you are doing this technique, sometimes copper tape gets unstuck. And that happens because maybe it was like too much heat or whatever. So what you need to do whenever you see it being unstuck and you are joining two copper tapes together, just add as much solder as possible and try to unify this joint. So just don't focus on this covering copper tape going that way only. Focus on covering it and also spreading it across the border so it merges and it becomes one shape, and then it's going to be very strong. But if you're going to apply copper tape only to the strip and you won't be like melting and joining the ends of that new copper shape that you added on top of the existing copper shape, you're at risk of like getting it to the point where it will become heavy because it will have some metal right on it, but the bond won't be strong enough because you overheated the glue of the tape and it can come off. So solidify it, make it one shape. Like, this is a tip for you. I've had some issues in the past. I'm working on something exciting that will help us setting up rings easier, but for now let's just work with what we have, and this is what we're going to do. Make sure it's evenly sitting on your base. And another thing you need to worry about is this this measurement should equal to this measurement, so this distance should be equaling this distance. And sometimes when you're looking at the ring this way and you're excited, you forget to look behind and see, okay, yeah, this is, I don't know if you can see, but I'll show you. You see how close it is sitting to the edge right here, and it's not centered. Is it crucial? Do we care? I mean, maybe we don't, and maybe sometimes there are some designs where they are intended to be, you know, sitting one way or another, but usually we're trying to be balanced in here. So just whenever we do, kind of like kneel forward and look and see, am I in center? Am I where I'm supposed to be? And looks like this is the right position. I'm just kind of going over everything in very detailed way. I'm sorry this tutorial is long, but just so you guys know how to do it, and it's super easy. So this is a little bit tilted for me, but so I'll try to aim it and push it that way. I'm trying to push it to the left, but if it's not too terribly off center, so I'm okay. Okay, my iron is super hot. Let's add 1 drop, and we are lucky. Don't worry about how lumpy it is. Just, yeah, do not worry about that. You are going to smooth it out like butter later. All you're looking at right now for stabilization and connecting it, you know, somehow to the ring, so it's in place. Then we're going to be adding more solder, we're going to be smoothing. When I'm adding a drop, I'm also looking to see how carefully I'm adding it, because I don't want that to get inside of the ring, because it's going to look very DIY. Now it's warm, so I'm going to be holding it with my tweezers, and I'm going to be trying to add solder in here. You see, right in here. And we're pretty much done. Okay, so now the main thing is turning off your iron, and then, like I always say, condition it. So we're going to condition our iron with some solder to prevent oxidation, to make sure that our tip is not rusty. And this is enough. And I'm going to go ahead and store this, and our tip will be just as brand new. We did it! How cute! So cute. So let's see what we can do to perfect this. So we're gonna clean it up first, obviously, but this is a very, very, very sturdy, super sturdy bond. I'm going to go ahead and wash this, and I'm gonna clean up this black residue that was left probably from copper tape. Guys, look how pretty and awesome and easy to make this beautiful ring. I mean, it's quite a few steps, obviously, and now we have, we have. And now we have this beautiful glass grinder, which now the opportunities and possibilities are endless. So I just want to bring it to your attention that you can definitely make ring like that, and I have it on my channel, using porcelain just the way it comes out, the way you cut it, just a random piece, random shape, it's fine. It still has this, you know, Pirates of the Caribbean-esque style that I'm obsessed with. So this is more polished, and there is a place for both. There is definitely a place for something more polished, and there is definitely a place for raw, just naturally happening organic jewelry, you know. But it's good to have this in our arsenal of tools, and I will definitely going to be using this moving forward, because sometimes you do need that certain shape. And whenever you cut porcelain and you leave it as is, sometimes it's hard to tape around the edges because it's very sharp. So, and the foil, the copper tape can break. This is much more copper tape friendly, and it's just great. I'm so happy. Let me give you a close-up of this beauty. I did okay job at centering it, not the best, but you can see that there's a little bit of solder right here, but it's fine, and a little bit of solder over there, which is fine. But my band is clean. This is exactly what I was talking about, keeping the band clean. So that's great, and overall it feels balanced. I washed it with soap and water, and you guys should also do that to neutralize the flux. So now it's just another addition to my collection, and these are, if you want to sell them, I feel like these are more like customer friendly pieces. I will be polishing it, and I will be getting rid of some, there are a couple raised bits of solder here, so I'll try to polish it a little bit so it's not scratching anyone. But yeah, overall very happy. And I highly suggest you guys investing in a grinder if you are going to be doing jewelry. I didn't know, I kind of knew about it. I mean, I knew about the grinder, but I didn't think that I will be impressed, and I am. I'm pretty happy. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you so much for coming to my channel and watching videos and subscribing and supporting me, and your support means a lot. Love you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope I inspired you. Please go and create something, make something beautiful. Don't be afraid, and just learn something new and express yourself. And I appreciate you, love you, and I'll see you next one. Bye.